Yeah, so good evening. Um, as a continuation of what we've just begin every week, to have these kind of presentations, it could be helpful for the upcoming counselors, or if there are any of my colleagues who can add on your points to this and how to handle the case for people's each other's understanding, because we work on subjective experiences and to have an expertise in certain areas of cases. If we can get some inputs from the others also, it could be useful. And maybe as I had the opportunity to work in different genres for the past 15 years of my career, whatever information I learned from my seniors, and in my workplace, from my colleagues, from my clients, from patients when I worked with hospitals, when I practiced as a junior with a lot of seniors who are most of the top people today, top people in the sense based on their experience and their work, um, e- eminent efficient psychologists. I've assisted them in one point of time. That's how I grew. I grew up in my career. Before I could start my own clinic, before I could do my own consultation, there's a lot of work involved which I learned from my seniors, and that being an inspiration and motivation, I just want to pass on some of the information which I can to the upcoming counselors, or whoever will get benefited out of whatever I'm sharing. And I welcome all of you to today's session. So this is a small introduction about me which I've put in the slide. And let me make one thing clear to all of you, that we are purely using this case presentation for the purpose of study, as I just mentioned, for no other purpose. And whatever details is presented in every case, there will be a name change, and it would have definitely been a case which was in the past, which was handled in the past. It is not in the ongoing. None of my ongoing cases will be presented as a case presentation. And this also, I do not want to exactly mention whether it was handled by me or my seniors, or I was part of the team. uh, uh, it could be anything with um, confidentiality maintained throughout without revealing any personal data about the client, and the confidentiality is not broken, and still whomever we are talking about is in a safe place. And most of the cases are mm 7 8 years plus in the past which was handled. So we are looking at the case of client named Nirmala. And this particular person, it's again, as I mentioned, name changed, was brought forcefully to a hospital. I had an opportunity to be part of a mental health team which worked 24 bar 7. So it used to be on the basis of shifts that people are there. And this particular person, she came, I think. Mm, at night, she was not admitted during the daytime, was brought forcefully to the hospital. People around had to like really hold her and bring her to the hospital. It's not that she very consciously, she herself traveled and came to the hospital. That is the scenario where she was in a semi-conscious drunken state. And sometimes we do need the help of people who can um, swiftly transfer people to their rooms by either carrying people who are not in a conscious state, or take them to their particular whichever room is allocated to them by the psychiatrist, if at all they decide to have an admission. So because this particular patient, when she was brought to the psychiatric hospital, was heavily drunk, and straight she comes from a pub. She comes to the hospital straight from the pub. So they as a group have gone to the pub to have fun, and unfortunately there was a quarrel and some kind of misunderstanding with a group of people whom they went with, and there was a lot of chaos and disturbance because of it caused in the pub. And it went to the extent that she got triggered. The client, I mean the patient Nirmala, she got triggered, and she heavily hit someone with a glass bottle, and she also had glass pricks, and she was bleeding, and there were some cigarette marks on her hand. A few of the cigarette marks on her hand were recent, but the others were, she had only those scars. It was not recent marks. So yeah, after a quarrel at the pub with a male co-star, and I think I missed out to introduce in the first point that she is a serial artist. So I've just put down the cut short form of Nirmala as Nimmi for the sake of easy typing. So Nirmala is a serial artist, age 31, and she was a divorcee at that time when she came to the hospital, and there were no kids in the marriage, and at that time she was in a relationship, in a love relationship post her divorce. And in her life, it was so that every important decision, whether it is marriage, acting, anything related to her career, the mother had the habit of making the choices prior, as well as she's continuing to make the choices even now. It's that when the history sounded like she did not have much of role or decision making part from a very long time, and that is still continuing even after Nirmala is 31. And she had a history of alcohol and cigarette usage. So she's been using them, and on. She's been, sometimes she'll come for treatment. Few days she takes treatment, then she gets back to her lifestyle, and then again after a breakdown or something happens serious, then she'll come back to the hospital. That was the prior history when you take the case file of the patient and go through it. And as I mentioned, she indulged in self harm by cutting and burns. When I mentioned about the cigarette burns in her hand, admission on acute stress reaction. So it was that she had an anger burst out, and she was already not in a conscious state. So now the last option was to bring her to the hospital because she already has a history of psychiatric treatment. So, what kind of work can be done with this particular patient? So, the diagnosis in this case was alcohol and substance abuse. Cigarettes can have nicotine, and it can sometimes also be usage of other substances. So, psychiatrists prefer to have blood test, and psychiatrists which hospitals which have a proper setup and the amenities to treat psychiatric patients exclusively. They have these space to collect blood samples, do the necessary blood tests to see the liver functioning, and how the person has been carrying any toxic toxins in the blood. For example, like presence of alcohol, cannabis, or any other kind of drug. If you are heavily smoking, there could be nicotine in the blood. And they have their own protocol which they follow when they are taking someone as an inpatient, for them to administer medicines, for them to give medicines to them. They have to know what is the biochemistry of that particular patient, along with the collecting the psychological history. And that will sometimes be taken, most of the times taken care of the psychiatric social workers or the psychologists. So for me exclusively, when I do some tests, or some of my colleagues who are trained in conducting projective tests, using expressive arts therapy. So some of the tests which was conducted to this particular patient, I'm using the term patient here because this happened in a hospital. If at all, this I met this particular individual in a private, in my private clinic, or in a corporate setup, this person existed, then I would mention or address this particular person as a client, not as a patient. So here some assessments like house tree person test, not immediately, we cannot administer it immediately. Once the person settles down a bit, becomes a little more calmer, becomes more stable enough to give a proper response without aggression. So all this is taken care of, and we take the opinion before we of psychiatrists before we call them psychologist cabin to do the necessary work with the patient. So some kind of test like house tree person test, which is a projection of that particular individual. We also probe, we ask more questions, and we also have a check on observation on the pencil paper grip that they can have, and they might have many things to share. They will want to speak, they will want that space to speak for a longer time within four walls. So that could be facilitated. And in the society, what is my role? My social atom gives more clarity on what is my role in the society as a family. Where I and who are my kind of my people, who are my kind of people with whom I have a healthy relationship. What do other people think about me? My understanding of what other people think about me, just a kind of creating self awareness about the society around me or the life around me. It's a form of sociometry activity. And TAT is again thematic perception test, where the person either narrates a story or writes a story when they have difficulty writing. In this particular case, I had to rule out um, writing activities when I had the opportunity to conduct these tests with with the patient. So when they have a difficulty with writing because of sluggishness, because of being overly tired, then I rule out them, and whatever they can participate in. If they can narrate a story, that also is fine. Only thing is, I just want to probe, have conversations with them, and just facilitate some emotional venting, and also help to give more clarity to the client about what needs to be done, and to facilitate healing. And 6 is 6P story making, again creating stories, narrative stories. So directly speaking about my problem may be difficult for me, but I can use some other character to speak about my story. For example, if there is a person named Pinky, it's easy for me to speak about Pinky's story, my story as it happened to Pinky. If I say so, it's easy for me. But it's difficult for me to say that, use my name and say my story. And that's also comfortable. That it's not that offensive to me. And that way, we are helping that person to process emotions. And sign symptom checklist, again to look for what are the signs and symptoms which they are going through right now. It could be because of some intervening factors like the treatment, ongoing treatment also. So that also is taken into consideration when people have headaches and other stuff. Not when they're feeling nauseous, we don't disturb them. And what is the other roles of a psychologist here is providing, in this particular case, providing individual counseling is mandatory. Along with it, a little bit of family counseling also was necessary. So while counseling Nirmala, the objectives here was to create awareness of what the individual wants, needs in life. Somewhere while collecting the history, while talking to Nirmala, while talking to Nirmala's mother, um, like there is a very strong need for Nirmala to express or exhibit the kind of life that she wants to live. Because Nirmala seemed to be always living the kind of life which her mother wanted her to live. So just asking questions like, what is the kind of life that you are seeking, what you want to live, you're looking forward for, no such things to, only people start thinking. Our role here is to make people think. We're not taking decisions for people. We're helping people to take their own decisions, solve their own problems by being a support system to them. So that's our role here. So here the to create that awareness is very important, mandatory, for the person to know what is my goal, what is my ambition, what is my need. It can be something as simple as, I want to get married and settle down as a family. Many artists have said this even in interviews. What if only you didn't become an actress, what would you have done? So then the actress says that, I'm not talking about this person, a very popular artist. She says that I would have been settled in a happy marriage life, is what she said. So that also can be a need of a person who genuinely wants to be part of a family, who wants to experience motherhood, who wants to receive love from family members, who wants to give love to other people, to have a supportive spouse, to have a loving family, to have relatives, to have family functions. So all this also can be a need. Nothing can be trivialized or like given minimal importance to. In order to attain the life the person wants to live, what is the support available? So if suppose a person says that my need is to get married and settle down in life, then what is the support system you have for that? What can you do? So helping people to think from a solution focused aspect. We call it solution focused brief therapy. So what are the available options for me? What are the how can I execute what I want? Maintaining boundaries with family and friends. So, whether it is the mother or the father or whoever it is, maintaining boundaries when it comes to life after a certain point to take that individual's own decisions and not getting always influenced by someone else. I think it's very important for that individual to maintain boundaries when they're feeling that when they feel that the people in their life are crossing boundaries. So that way, even with friends, so maybe if that boundary was able, she was able to set that boundary, maybe that pub fight or even when she's like outside, so there would be a clear distinction between professional life and personal life. So I don't have to fight with a co-star and end up in a ruckus in a pub and get admitted. So that could have been avoided if proper boundaries could be maintained. And that awareness, where am I, what am I doing, what am I supposed to be doing, if I know what I exactly want, then I will be focusing on that, not on the unwanted stuff around me. So only when I don't know what I want to do, and if I'm thinking that I'm not given the space, instead of taking that responsibility into my hand, then maybe I can end up being this way. So decision making, to facilitate the process of decision making, that the character needs a support system. Problem solving by exploring inner resources is the greatest power. So to look within me to see what resources do I have for me to create what I want, to create the kind of life that I want. Am I powerless? Then only people start realizing, uh, why am I still in that child state? When I'm 31, I'm a youngster or a middle aged person who can definitely take decisions for themselves, not for others. They can take, and I can be aware of what my need is and what I'm capable of and what I can do. Not codependency on someone else, even if it is parent or husband or child, is not very appreciable. To some extent, that individual should be able to sustain on their own. In times of need, there is nothing wrong if we are going to seek support from someone else. That's absolutely fine. But trying initially by ourselves, and if we fail and we need help, we can take. But it's not that I don't even try, because as a child, that was the way I was brought up. So as an adult, I'm still continuing that kind of life. Is not what it's not a very appreciable life, because towards, if this continues until the end of life, it will be like the person is living someone else's life for someone else. I'm living a life for someone else's needs, which they're fulfilling through me. But I don't know whether I lived my life. At one point of time, maybe that realization comes. But we are just trying to empower people in the beginning of what they can do with their own selves, how they can think, how they can look for betterment. Work on deeper emotions help the individuals overcome addiction. So when there is an addiction existing, one thing all of us know that it could be genetic. Someone in the family could have had a strong gene where there's a genetic vulnerability, and that is why any form of addiction is put under psychiatric disorders. And somewhere some unfulfilled desires, emotions, people don't know how to channelize it. Like the psychoanalytic theory, some unfulfilled needs in childhood is now coming out, that I'm showing it in a different way without knowing how to handle it. That could be the situation. But when deeper work with the emotions of that individual can be done, like what I explained to you in this previous slide on, um, what can be done, what work can be done with the client as a psychologist, I spoke about projective tests, the assessments. So when these assessments can be done, and when we have conversations with that individual, there's a lot of things that we can talk about, and it would definitely touch projective tests, definitely touch the childhood of the individual. So there could be some trauma. There existed trauma in this particular individual's life, and this was the kind of I'm just put giving you only the gist of what was my agenda in working with patient Nirmala, and what could have what like as a family, if I have to work with this particular client, it was only Nirmala's mother who was the caregiver. So I worked only with Nirmala's mother. No one else was involved in this because it was only both of them. No other visitors, no one. They took a VIP room. She stayed there to provide support to her in what she really wants to do. Yeah, I'm talking about Nirmala here, to Nirmala's mother. So when Nirmala wants to do something, maybe Nirmala doesn't want to act, Nirmala wants to get married and settled in life. Just support her to do what she wants to do. And she needs to be treated like an adult, not a child now, because she's an adult. So when we speak to Nirmala's mother, we come to know about some more, get some more information of what had happened, and some understanding about Nirmala's mother also. Nirmala's mother needed empowerment even at that point where this counseling process happened. She struggled a lot as a single mother to bring her up, and that is Nirmala, and to provide for her own self, and not able to provide education to Nirmala. So, through known people using influence, she got her daughter to act in whatever role she gets. Because she needed, the mother needed money for survival, she did that. And yeah, here I'm seeing that the mother could have had uh, could have done better parenting, because even as a child, even before the age of 18, she involved Nirmala into acting, where she had no idea about acting. She was not professionally trained for acting. She didn't go to a acting school or something. Some person she knew, and through them she just wanted money. The objective is, I need money to run my family because my husband left me and went away. So now I do not have education. So the only option left out is, let me use my daughter to run my family. Let her also take care of her needs, and I will take care of myself. That was the kind of attitude, and she never strived to empower herself. She had only been a people pleaser from the history collected, people pleasing, and then trying to get things done, because and always most of the time playing the victim card. I'm a helpless woman, my husband ran away, I don't have anyone, no, that kind of sympathy motive, and like, and that was even exhibited in the hospital, and to get some concession for the hospital payments. I saw her speaking in a very pleasing way to the chief doctor, and like to asking for favors in terms of finance, and other things, when they it was not obliged, and it was the same for everyone, and you also hired a VIP room, and when you're asking for some concessions, they could not avail that facility. And yeah, so that's what I observed. And she was provided, and Mala's mother was provided psychoeducation. In the sense, psychoeducation is educating people who are caregivers of patients on what the patient is going through and what kind of support can be provided to them. So she needed the kind of basics, some basics about addiction, how to help a survivor of addiction, and deeper emotional issues to just help her to feel that that fill that emptiness, or to whatever she missed out in the childhood to gain it now. That kind of an approach to just help her to move on in life. As a responsibility and as a protocol, we do what we are supposed to do, but it is again up to the client, because counseling is a two-way process. We are here to give, but it works only when the client is at the receiving end. And even if the client is at the receiving end, in cases where the client is still vulnerable, the caregiver's role is very important to give the medicines on time if the doctor has prescribed, to bring them for review for counseling. If they ask them to come once a week, they have to come once a week. We give them with the date when they are supposed to next meet up, or once in 2 weeks, whatever it is, no, so that needs to be followed. So how did this case end? We tried so many things with Nirmala's mother, trying to empower both of them with more information on what they can do in life in order to not to get into the same tangle and suffer, but get some relief out of these sufferings. If Nirmala could get some relief out of these kind of sufferings, she can definitely be more peaceful in life. She can, when she experiences happiness, when she is getting some fulfillment out of basic fundamental um, things that an individual of her age requires, if that is fulfilled itself, she might not get into addiction again, or she might not be inclined towards doing things which she may be not doing if she had a good parenting and good lifestyle. And she should also realize that she's no more a child but an adult. That self realization is very important. So how did this case get terminated? Nirmala's mother didn't want to invest money on counseling and other mental health services, discharged her daughter forcefully, saying Nirmala needed to get ready for the next assignment. So the mother had already signed assignments. She cannot give excuse that my daughter is in hospital. So she took a discharge, and the work which we could do during that 1 week period of stay when she was an inpatient, so that is the justice which we could do to Nirmala. And the discharge summary clearly stated that discharge against medical advice. Hope Nirmala creates her happy life and untangle herself from suffocating factors. Suffocating intervening factors can be people, can be financial struggles, whatever. But how I create it, how I create a life script, the way I want to lead my life, that kind of empowerment, only when Nirmala gets, she might be able to decide her life, what she really wants to do. If she really likes acting, though accidentally she might have got into it, if she likes that, then she can very well do it heartfully, passionately. But if she doesn't like, she still has the space to stop that career and do something else. She can do many things. There are a lot of things with whatever interests her, whatever she is good at. Can be anything like doing studying, going for higher studies, or doing some fashion designing, or if she's interested, or becoming an entrepreneur. You manufacture some products. Could be anything, anything. So the if at all a person makes a decision, they can transform themselves, they can empower themselves, they can equip their skills, they can learn new things, they can have a happy marriage life, they can live as they wish. So this is the end of this particular situation. But the satisfying factors are the kind of work that we did and what we delivered. And as I mentioned, it's again about um, how the client also responds. So that way, the justice that as a counselor, as a psychologist, as a psychiatrist, which the mental health professionals offered, we did justice. But beyond that, it was the decision of the patient. But then again, when she has a breakdown, they may come just that one day without an admission, getting doing a detox and leaving with the medicines. So that kind of some hassle was going on in between. Otherwise, like I know this person on screen, I've seen this person on screen. I have seen her in doing smaller roles in few movies and few serials. And I don't know other than that about what this person has, whether she's totally out of alcohol, or what she did to herself in her personal life, what decisions she made, that I don't know. But I think there were a lot of takeaways and learnings from this particular case. So if anyone wants to share something, you can please go ahead. And if there is any one new takeaway that I learned about this particular thing from this case, on how it was being handled, or whatever new thing that you were exposed to, if there's something that you want to share, please come ahead to speak. Anyone can go ahead and speak. You can talk about your new understanding, new insights, or whatever you understood. A few words.
Swati, this is Priya.
Yes, Priya.
According to my understanding, the client Nirmala appears to have unmet idealization needs as described in self psychology. As a result, she seems to lack a stable sense of security and safety.
Exactly.
So, this may contribute to her submissive and people pleasing behavior, I think. From a self psychologist perspective, these patterns suggest a fragmented self, and counseling should be focused on helping her develop a more cohesive, stable, and resilient sense of self by addressing these unmet development needs, I think.
Exactly. The
Thank you.
mindset is like a still like a there could be some fixation, like how you explained. It's still functioning like a teenage girl.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Swati.
Thank you for adding. Anyone else wants to speak?